This is a part 2 of my previous uh, video. So as I continue, the main theme right now is just that you're a hard worker, but yet you're a hard worker, you're focused, you're diligent, and you're committed, right? You're committed to either your vision, mission, and purpose. And it doesn't matter what it is, but when a task comes to you, you're gonna do it, and you're gonna do it with dedication and love. But yet we have to notice our body, right? And let the tension go in the shoulders, keep our feet grounded. And for some of you, maybe working in an office desk, right? Hopefully you have an option to get one of those standing desks, and then you can be a little bit more ergonomic and not sit the whole day. And that's what I was getting, right? Because most human beings, they stand up straight, and that's actually not good posture for our legs or our body. Normally, especially for a man, is to have a wider stance and have our weight on our pelvis, right? So that it's stable. So if some of you are familiar with Buddhist Shaolin temple monks, even through just watching movies or maybe MMA, there are some Shaolin fighters in MMA. But basically, right, one of their key exercises is the horse stance, right, where their legs, their feet are on the ground, their entire skeletal physical structure is just in one posture. And those guys have dedicated themselves and trained in that posture every day, right? And a lot of them start when they're really young. And so every day. And so their entire structure is very firm. And then you maybe just Google or YouTube some of these videos where a monk, a Shaolin monk, or someone that went through training through Shaolin is in that stance, and there's a bunch of people trying to kick them and try to break them out of that stance. Nope, it's as firm as a tree or a concrete building, right? So just tune into that message, and in a way, just maybe a simple exercise or a simple thing to be aware of is to not sit all the time at your desk or not lay down all the time, and just make the effort and allow yourself to move your body freely, and yet continue to be able to come back to the work, but yet allow yourself the time to move your body so that you get best of both worlds. You can dedicate yourself and yet keep your body healthy. And if your body is in flow, your mind is going to think more clearly, and then your work will be even more creative, more productive, right? You'll be more productive. So those are some of the messages that are coming through. Let me tune back in anything that's coming through. So tune into those messages and so earlier on, before, in the first video, I was interrupted by the bee. And so maybe bee is one of your spiritual kind of animal, or kind of just at least tune into do a little research on bee and tune into kind of their energetic signature in a way, right? So there's a lot that we can learn from nature as well as animals and insects, right? Obviously, there's good and bad behaviors, but bees, right, some of the things that we know about them is that we can emulate them a lot, right? They work very cooperatively. They're very diligent in their work and hardworking, and even at times, right? So I think some of the insects do this, right? When they get injured or when they get sick, right? They don't fly back home. They don't fly back home and get the other bees sick and get the whole hive sick, right? They want to protect the queen. They want to make sure that their young is flourishing and so forth, right? So what's coming through is that, yes, we need to take care of ourselves to not overwork ourselves. And when we're going through, sometimes if we're not able, so for example, if we're going through an episode where we're not able to regulate our emotions, maybe it's a good time to take a break, a couple days break, and tune into solitude so that you can process it yourself and not affect other people, especially those that you love. And sometimes it's difficult, right? Sometimes it's difficult. We're in a stressful environment. There's a lot going on. And so in a more, I guess, a little higher effort is what higher effort method is what I explained. Meditation can be that retreat. You know, finding a, in the office when you're done, right? So maybe for some of this, this message won't apply to all of you, but for some of you it will. So for some of you in an office job, right? You're working in an office, corporate office, and yes, you want to get home and see your family and see your friends or whatever, but you're feeling super stressed out. And maybe the last couple of days when you went home or when you've met your friends, you couldn't control your emotions, or you had lashed out on someone, at someone, right? So, or you're getting direct feedback from your friends or family or maybe they're responding negatively to how you're reacting, right? So whatever these stresses are, right? And yes, so maybe at your office, find a quiet room when everyone's gone, or just find a quiet room before heading back to the office, and you use that as your meditation cave, right? Meditation room. I like to use the term meditation cave to create a little sanctity and aura around that, right? Because as humans, right, we didn't live in houses for a long time, right? It's only this modern era that we had indoor shelter that's concrete and so forth, right? And our early ancestors lived in caves. Or maybe there were times that it was just nomadic and we had to instantly build a makeshift shelter from the wood and leaves that we find, right? So, but I call it meditation cave, and I'll share a story about it in another video, because that is a place that no one can take away from, and that is also a place that, when I go into my meditation cave, I know that I'm tuning into a very deep part of myself, and whatever external melts away, or it doesn't matter, at least when I'm in the cave, in the meditation, or in quiet contemplation in that cave, right? So that's what's worked for me. Feel free to use it if it resonates. So that's what's coming through. So yeah, so a little bit more intense in this message, and maybe part of this part 2 is not for everyone, but if you came to this part 2, maybe that's what's happened, right? So maybe in your work you're getting a lot of distraction, like the bee distracting me, and you kind of just have to get away, or you feel like you want to get away, but you're kind of obligated to be there, or it's not easy to get away. So the easiest way, yes, it is the easiest way, is we can only change ourselves and do what we can do within our power. So create your meditation cave, go into stillness and silence and quiet contemplation, even for a couple minutes before you go socialize or spend time with other people or go back to work, right? Go back to that stressful environment. And hopefully it will help. Until next time.